Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters. My wife, Atali, and I first got together when I was 19 and she was 23. Now that's only 4 years difference, but it caused quite the scandal actually. She was friends with my older brother, and some of her mates labelled her a cradle snatcher. Some of my mates labelled me a legend. But this is the story of when I proposed to Atali 5 years later, exactly 5 years in fact, because I proposed on the 5th anniversary of when we first got together. It was romantic, but it was also a great excuse for us to get dressed up and go out for a nice dinner. Now for the proposal, there were a few key ingredients I felt that were needed. First of all, the engagement ring. And I wanted this to be perfect. In fact, I wanted to design it myself. So I sat down and I carefully calculated what I could afford, and then I multiplied it by 10. No expense spared with gold, platinum, diamonds. Oh, and I wanted a top restaurant, so I booked us a table at Logan Brown. I wanted a nice hotel room for afterwards, and assuming that everything went to plan, a limousine to take us there. But I felt that it needed something else, a special ingredient. So I made some phone calls, and it was all arranged, in theory. So fast forward to the night. We arrive at the restaurant, and we sit down for dinner, and the food was amazing. We drink a bottle of wine, we're feeling pretty happy, and I'm exchanging the occasional knowing glance with the waitress. Everything is on track. And then, sure enough, right on cue, as we tuck into our dessert, violin music fills the air. Now this is my special ingredient, a player from the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra. And as he plays, he drifts closer and closer to our table. Then, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small wooden box, which he places on the table in front of Atali. For a moment, I was worried that maybe he was going to propose. But no, that was my cue. So I dropped to one knee, because that's important, isn't it? Only counts if you're on one knee. Atali, will you marry me? She was suitably stunned. Tears in her eyes. She whispered, yes. It was perfect. And that is when we became aware of all the eyes upon us. The restaurant had come to a standstill. And now we're just frozen. We're not sure what we're supposed to do next. Hug me? I said, and we embraced, and the whole restaurant erupted into applause. So then, hand in hand, we headed for the door, the crowd parting around us, and the violin music following us out to the street to our awaiting limousine, ready to whisk us off to the hotel. Only it wasn't there. Now, a sensible person might have cut their losses at this point and hopped in a taxi or walked because it wasn't far, but not me. This was supposed to be perfect. So picture this, downtown Wellington, beautiful woman all dressed up standing idly by with a man, that's me, arguing loudly on a mobile phone with a limo driver who has a rather poor grasp of the English language, and beside us, a violinist in a tuxedo. He's still playing. In all the confusion, I hadn't thought to tell him that he could stop. So the limo driver tells me that he can be there in 10 minutes. But I'm having a hard time explaining to him exactly where here is. Now, limo driver should know the renowned Logan Brown. So in desperation, I'm rattling off the name of all the restaurants and shops I can see on the street, going down the street without any luck until I get to the last shop, the one on the corner. "The lucky corner!" he exclaims. It was an adult shop. What sort of limo company was this? So I hang up the phone and I turn to the violinist. I thank him, he stops playing, and he goes on his way, which must have been quite a relief to him. Not just because we must have looked ridiculous, but he confessed in a chance meeting years later. He had been so hungover that night that he only made it because his flatmate physically dragged him out of bed. Miraculously, the limousine does arrive. So we hop in and we're off to the hotel. Only we're not, because Atali realises she has to move her car. So now I'm alone in the backseat as we follow a battered old Subaru around and around the streets of Wellington City on a Friday night looking for a car park. Eventually we find one, and we're on our way to the hotel, for real this time. And the hotel room was lovely. I think we all know what happened next. Except it didn't. We were both so exhausted, we fell into bed and went to sleep. It was like we were married already. So that is the story of the night that I proposed to Atali. And despite the hiccups, we both remember it very fondly. And after all, if you can't laugh your way through a few disasters and mishaps, what hope do you have for a long and happy marriage?